Good afternoon, friends from the media. Welcome to today's regular press conference of the MFA. The floor is open to questions.
谢谢。中国日报提问：昨天习近平出席金专家领导。
China Daily. Yesterday, President Xi Jinping attended the BRICS Plus dialogue and delivered important remarks. The international community, especially developing countries, welcome President Xi Jinping's three-point proposal and believe that it sets the direction for the Global South to strengthen solidarity and cooperation going forward. Can you update us on that? Yesterday, the BRICS Plus dialogue was successfully held in Kazan. President Xi Jinping attended the event and delivered important remarks. President Xi Jinping made a three-point proposal. We should uphold peace and strive for common security, reinvigorate development and strive for common prosperity, promote together development of all civilizations and strive for harmony among them. We should come forward together to form a stabilizing force for peace. We should strengthen global security governance and explore solutions to address both symptoms and root of hotspot issues. We should make ourselves the main driving force for common development. We should play an active and leading role in the global economic governance reform and make development the core of international economic and trade agenda. We should be advocates for exchanges among civilizations. We should enhance communication and dialogue and support each other in taking the path to modernization suited to our respective national conditions. The three-point proposal is consistent with the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative. The proposal not only responds to the Global South's urgent need for peace, development, and cooperation, but also demonstrates China's firm determination of joining hands with the Global South for common development. China is always a member of the Global South and strengthening solidarity and cooperation with fellow developing countries is the unshakable foundation of China's foreign relations. We proposed the Initiative for Open and Inclusive Cooperation of the Global South, announced 8 measures in supporting Global South cooperation, provided development assistance for over 160 countries, conducted Belt and Road cooperation with more than 150 countries, advanced cooperation on the Global Development Initiative together with more than 100 countries. The UN and many other international organizations set up the Global Development and South-South Cooperation Fund and supported the implementation of over 150 projects, injecting impetus for the development and prosperity of the Global South with concrete actions. No matter how the international landscape may evolve, China will always remain true to its original aspiration of keeping the Global South in its heart and stay committed to supporting the development and prosperity of the Global South. China will continue to work with Global South countries to advance high-quality development of Greater BRICS cooperation and open up a new chapter of solidarity and cooperation of the Global South. Next question.
谢谢发言人。总台央视记者提问：中方发布了芬兰总
CCTV. China announced the Finnish President Alexander Stubb's state visit to China. Could you share with us the program, China's expectation of the visit? During President Stubb's visit, President Xi Jinping will have talks with him, and Premier Li Qiang and Chairman Zhao Leji will meet with him respectively. The two sides will have an in-depth exchange of views on bilateral relations and issues of mutual interest. Finland was one of the first countries to recognize New China. Our bilateral relations are growing with a sound momentum. The day President Stubb arrives in Beijing will mark the 74th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between the two countries. China stands ready to work with Finland to maintain high-level exchanges, carry forward traditional friendship, step up mutually beneficial cooperation in economy, trade, investment, and green transition, address global challenges, and make progress in our bilateral relations.
Thank you. Question from AFP.
法新社。今天，美国、韩国和日本表示，有数千朝鲜士兵正在俄罗斯训练，并且很有可能会送往乌克兰。外交部能否对于这一报道做出评论，以及这对于俄乌冲突来说意味着什么？
我们这几天已经
Over these days, we have repeatedly stated our position. China is not aware of the situation. China's position on the Ukraine crisis is consistent and clear. China all along calls for all parties to work for de-escalation of the situation and strive for political settlement. Next question.
谢谢发言人。湖北广电记者提问：今天是南部非洲发展共同体。
Hubei TV. Today marks the Anti-Sanctions Day established by the Southern African Development Community (SADC). Zimbabwe hosts events in celebration of the 5th anniversary of the day and call for the removal of illegal sanctions imposed on the country by the West. What's your comment? The 39th SADC Summit in 2019 named October 25th the Anti-Sanction Day and called on the U.S. and some other Western countries and organizations to remove illegal sanctions on Zimbabwe. China supports Zimbabwe, who hosts the SADC's rotating presidency and suffers from illegal sanctions, in hosting the commemorative event of the 5th anniversary of the day. The U.S. and some other Western countries have illegally sanctioned Zimbabwe for over 20 years. This typical act of hegemonism severely undermines Zimbabwe's national sovereignty, infringes on Zimbabwean people's right of development, disrupts the effort of Southern Africa to deepen cooperation and pursue common development, and harms international fairness and justice. China, as always, firmly supports Zimbabwe in opposing external interference and keeping to its own development path. We once again urge the few countries and organizations to lift the illegal sanctions on Zimbabwe as soon as possible and take responsible and concrete steps to help the country develop its economy and improve people's well-being. China stands ready to work with African countries and the international community to help Zimbabwe uphold its independence and sovereignty, remain stable, and achieve development.
路透社记者提问。
Reuters. 中国驻阿富汗大使周二在推特上写道：“中国将为阿富汗提供100%的税目产品零关税待遇。”你能否提供更多细节？谢谢。On September 5th this year, President Xi Jinping announced in his keynote speech at the opening ceremony of the Beijing summit of the FOCAC that China will voluntarily and unilaterally open its market wider and has decided to give all LDCs having diplomatic relations with China, including 33 countries in Africa, zero tariff treatment for 100% tariff lines. This has made China the first major developing country and the first major economy to take such a step. As one of the least developed countries recognized by the United Nations, Afghanistan also enjoys the above-mentioned preferential policy. We believe this will promote our trade and economic cooperation with Afghanistan and achieve mutual benefit. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。东方卫的记者提问。那么我们关注到，据报道，24日莫桑比克国家。
Dongfang News is reported that on October the 24th, the Mozambique Electoral Commission announced the election results and the governing Mozambique Liberation Front Party's candidate Daniel Chapo won the presidential election with 70.67% of votes. What is China's comment on this? As a friendly country to Mozambique, China is glad to see the successful presidential, parliamentary, and provincial government elections in Mozambique. We express congratulations to the Mozambique Liberation Front Party and President-elect Daniel Chapo. China attaches great importance to its relations with Mozambique. Next year will mark the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. At the new historical starting point, China stands ready to work with Mozambique to further deepen the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership and bring more benefits to the peoples of the two countries. Next one.
Thank you, AFP.
法新社，台湾领导人赖清德今天访问了金门，而且发表演讲。他说，他将不会屈服，在台湾领土上不会屈服一寸的土地。您对于他有何评论？
Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. no matter what the TVB authority say or do, it will not change the fact that the Taiwan and the Taiwan people belong to China, and will not change the historical trend of the sure reunification of the Chinese nation. Next one.
India and
路透社中印两国开始在点角喜马拉雅山附近开始撤退，这是印度相关官员透露的信息，你能否证实这是否是真的？然后提供一些细节。
According to the recently agreed solution between India and China on border issues, the frontline armies of the both countries are doing and implementing relevant work with smooth progress so far. Next one.
还有其他问题吗？
Any other questions?
谢谢。深圳卫视执新闻。据了解，台湾外事部门负责人林佳龙正。
Shenzhen News, we've learned that the head of Taiwan's Foreign Affairs Office, Lin Qiaolong, is visiting Guatemala, and Guatemalan President Bernardo Arevalo will meet with him. What is your comment on this? We noted the reports. Let me stress that there is but one China in the world. Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legal government representing the whole of China. On this day, 53 years ago, the UN adopted Resolution 2758 that restored the lawful seat of the People's Republic of China in the UN. The fact that 183 countries in the world have established diplomatic relations with China fully proves that the Taiwan authorities' attempt to use countries having so-called diplomatic ties with Taiwan for political manipulation and Taiwan independence agenda will lead nowhere. It will not shake the prevailing consensus on the One China principle or stop the overriding trend towards China's reunification. More and more people with vision in Guatemala are aware that establishing diplomatic relations with China is in the fundamental and long-term interests of Guatemala and its people. We hope the Guatemalan government will see this trend, meet its people's aspirations, and make the right choice at an early date. Next question.
Thank you, AFP.
法新社，华盛顿《华尔街日报》表示，马斯克不应该在台湾进行星链服务，并且这对于中国有利。中方对此有何回应？
I am not aware this situation that you mentioned.
下一个问题。
Next one.
还有其他问题吗？
Any other questions? Well, that brings us to the end of today's press conference. Have a happy weekend.